I was standing just looking amongst the crowd, you know, seeing what was going on, watch people dance and enjoy themselves, just relaxing. Like it was, like I didn't think anything of it. It was like it had never happened.
This is Wendell, describing what happened after the scuffle in the bar, but before he was arrested by police. And there's a twist to this part of the story. Wendell actually left the bar after the altercation, but when a group of friends wanted to meet up there later that night, he returned to the same bar to meet them. He didn't think much of what had happened, so he wasn't concerned. But that's where he was wrong.
I see like security or police or something pointing at me. So I walk towards them. They tell me to come outside. And when I get out there, it's the police, more police officers out there. And then it was like many other Chinese people. And it was an officer, one just spoke a bit of English, and he was like, "Yo, come with us to the station." I'm like, why? Like, why? By this time, it was a lot of Chinese people. It was many of them, like 40, 50 Chinese people. Like, and I don't know what they're saying, but they all look angry. A lot of yelling, a lot of hostility, you know, and like just the energy. Like I can feel that it wasn't right. Like I had seen many videos of like crowds of people jumping on different foreigners. Like I had seen like huge like knife fights on video, and like one or two foreigners getting beat bloody like by a gang of Chinese people. And instantly that's what I started thinking, like what is going on right now? So I take off running from the crowd. I run down like a block. I go inside of a building, and then I see some police walking past. So I walk towards the police officer. He put me in the handcuffs and everything, but the crowd comes again and starts to beat me. People are still hitting me as I have the handcuffs on, hitting me, like grabbing my legs, trying to get me to fall so they can stump me. And I have handcuffs on. The police is right there. It was actually a Chinese guy, like a random Chinese guy who had actually stopped the people from hitting me.
Imagine the terror. An angry mob is after you, and in desperation you turn to the police. But instead of protection, they handcuff you, leaving you at the mercy of the crowd. A brave citizen intervenes, only for you to be thrown into the back of the police van, destined for prison. It's a nightmare, and for now, it's Wendell's reality.
As I'm in the car with them and we're riding, but while I'm in the back seat, one of the officers begins to hit me. He had a stick in his hand and he began to hit me. I couldn't believe it. Like I thought that I was getting away from harm while being with them, and then I'm getting in the car and this officer just also began to beat me.
Again, the stuff of nightmares. Wendell Brown, thousands of miles from home, suddenly finds himself the target of an enraged mob and Chinese authorities. This all unfolds in public outside of a bar in Chongqing, China. Powerless, he endures the wrath of the crowd, and soon after, he's whisked away far from any hope of rescue. He's headed to a place where no good Samaritan will help him. Just the cold, unforgiving walls of a Chinese prison. I'm Matt Liston. This is Game Plan, the Wendell Brown Story.
No one's telling me what's going on. I don't know what's about to happen. I don't know where I'm going. If something happens, I knew no one was going to be on my side. Not an officer, not an inmate, nobody. It was me, by myself. You know, I just couldn't understand how this stuff happened. It's crazy. Would I ever be free? Would I ever see my family, my friends, my son? Would I ever see freedom again?
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
Want to teach your kids financial literacy, but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
In 2015, Detroit native Wendell Brown moved to China to continue a career in professional football. He'd never been to China and didn't speak the language, but Wendell wasn't the kind of person to shy away from an opportunity to see the world.
Man, when I first got out there, it was beautiful. I had arrived in the evening. Driving around, it was lit up. With lights everywhere. The buildings were colorful. As far as lighting wise, it was like Christmas, where it's lights everywhere. Every building is decorated. It was something similar to that. Originally, I was asked to help out with the American Football League out there. A friend of mine, Carson Butler, who played at Michigan and played in NFL, he had a teammate from Michigan, Chris McLaren, who had been out there in China and had started the league, and they needed help within the league. So I had just come from playing over in Europe for the Swarco Raiders out in Austria. I was excited. I didn't know truly what to expect, but I was excited to get out there and see a different part of the world. I was excited. When I got out there, I thought it was going to be to play, but I saw that it was more that I was needing the coaching area. I was able to travel around China, basketball and the football that I was doing. And I love to see different places. I love to see how different cultures live, how they interact amongst each other, and people who aren't from their way of life or their country. I enjoyed the travels a lot. I enjoyed the sights. It was fun. I maybe went to about 10 or 12 different Chinese cities while I was there. I had a lot of fun, met a lot of good people. For the most part, people seemed welcoming. They seemed like good people. And I was around a few English-speaking people. I didn't know that not many people spoke English until later. It's in a place where everyone is Chinese, even on TV, where here in the States, here in America, you will see a movie, there will be black people, white people, Indian people, people from all different countries, all different ways of life, all different cultures, different religions, everything. There, you see only Chinese people on TV. Even with walking around, it's nothing but Chinese people. Everyone was, pretty much the same skin color, same dark eyes, same black hair. As I got out there a bit more and being on my own, I began to see that they were not so welcoming. But that's anywhere in the world. I feel like there's good people and there's bad people. And we run into some of both. I remember one time being on the train, and a girl, she asked me what am I doing here? She was being extremely rude. She pushed me, and I'm laughing, and I asked because she could speak English. I'm like, what's wrong? Do you need to talk to me? Like, if you need some help, you need somebody who just to listen, like I can. Like, what's the problem? She ended up telling the police on me, like I was sitting in her spot on the train or something like that. I really didn't understand what she was saying, but she got the police pointed at me and everything like that. And I actually recorded it on my WeChat. I'm looking around the train, and then once I get my phone over to her, she slapped my phone. I'm not sure exactly, well, I am sure exactly what she was trying to do, but it was just a blessing that I didn't have any run-in. Had I known that, just the smallest things break out and turn to something huge.
Of course, Wendell would soon learn the truth of this statement, that the smallest things could be turned into something huge. After his arrest, September 24th, 2016, he finds himself in a justice system that he doesn't understand. It's a system that does not afford him the same rights as he has in America. It's a system extremely unfavorable to an outsider like himself. He's locked in a room with no access to an attorney and no contact with the outside world.
When I get to the station, I wasn't there that long before some officers come in, and I couldn't understand what any of them were saying. They were yelling and they were screaming and everything, but I mean, I didn't speak Chinese, so I didn't know what they were saying. And they were just yelling, screaming. I'm just sitting there. And after a while, another officer came who could speak a little bit of English, and he began to, I guess, translate for the other officers and began to talk to me, ask me questions, where my passport was and what I was doing in China, how long I had been in China, what was I doing in the bar that night. I wasn't really worried about answering any questions or anything like that, because I know I hadn't done anything. I remember just being asked if I think I can just go around hurting people. And I say, no, I didn't hurt anybody. Like, I didn't hurt anybody. Two men tried to hurt me. Like, what are you talking about? But it was once they just kept asking me the same things. They kept asking me the same thing. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Why did you hurt? You think you just hurt people? And and I'm still saying, like, no, I was attacked by some guys. I walked away. They asked me, did I have money? And I said, I have some in my pants pocket. And the money that I had in my pants pocket, they bought me like a cup of noodles and a water. They offered me a cigarette. Like, I don't smoke. So he didn't say anything. Like, he just held the cigarette up and did his head like, like, you want one? So I said, yeah, and by me being handcuffed to the chair, he put it on my lips and lit it for me. And when I inhaled, I just started choking and threw up. Now that I think back on it, it's like it's funny. I've never smoked a cigarette, and like, for my first time smoking a cigarette, I'm in that situation. I mean, shit, what better time than now? I just know I was there for a long time, handcuffed to the chair, probably nearly 24 hours. That's how I knew I was there for at least 24 hours, because it was nighttime all over again. And then it's like I'm transported to another place. And I'm put into a van. You ride back to the bar. They get me out of the van. I got handcuffs on still. And all the officers walk me back into the bar. They tell me to show them what happened, walk them back through everything that had taken place. Everyone is looking at me. it blew my mind. I couldn't believe that I was in that situation. Like I was just there when then the next day I'm coming back with handcuffs on and with everyone staring at me, and I'm extremely embarrassed, to be in that situation. I walked them back through just everything that had taken place, and I'm put back into the van, and we stop at a hospital, and they take my blood. No one's telling me what's going on. I don't know what's about to happen. I don't know where I'm going. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that, let's put it online and see what happens stage.
And the site is live.
That we opened a store and need a fast checkout stage.
Thanks. You're all set.
That count it up and ship it around the globe stage.
This one's going to Thailand.
And that, wait, did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Whatever your stage, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/sell today.
After 24 hours of interrogation, Wendell is driven to a Chinese prison. These prisons can range wildly in terms of their conditions and treatment. Needless to say, none of them are pleasant, and most are considered dangerous. His friends and family have no idea where he is. In fact, Wendell really doesn't know where he is. He's a stranger, a black man in a Chinese prison, with no idea what would come next.
It looks completely different than the jail cells I've seen on TV and like the movies from like the American prison movies. It was completely different. It was like inside, but outside. I'm walking through, like once I walk through a building, it's like I go out of some tall metal doors, like that open up, and the cells are on my right, and it's like 2 levels, but in the middle, it's like outside. Like if I take like 5 steps to my left, I'm like underneath the sky. It's still dark. There are not any lights. I'm walking past different cells. I see like the bars, but also like a steel door as well. Once I get to the door that it's just open, I'm pushed in. Inside one room, it's like it's 2 rooms, basically inside one cell. The first room is like gates at the top, like bars at the top, and it's high. It's extremely high, maybe like 20-25 feet high, and it's gated. You can see up to like the stars. You can see the stars, see the moon, all that stuff, and they're visible. And then I'm pushed into a second room, into an inner room, and that's where everyone is. That's where everyone is. It's like 30 people inside this one room. It's packed. It's completely packed. And they're just looking at me, talking amongst themselves. I was the only black guy in there, and they're looking, they're staring, some pointing, they're astonished, some laughing. Everyone is laying down on the floor and on like pretty much like a wood pallet. It's like where everyone usually sits at, a wood pallet, and then it's the floor. So people are pretty much laying everywhere. There's no room. Like someone had to turn their body for me not to step on. One guy was told to move his space for me. He looked extremely upset. He didn't say anything to me, but the look in his eyes, you could tell like he was mad that he had to be the one to move. But After I had taken his spot, he was forced to lay on the floor. I know that was embarrassing for him, and he was instantly upset.
Wendell had been in custody for 48 hours. Although Chinese law guarantees access to a lawyer, in reality, that guarantee is not always honored. And when you're a foreigner who doesn't speak the language, your options are limited. The American embassy seemed like Wendell's best hope, and that seemed okay to him. He knew a few people there because he had given a speech there just a year earlier.
The embassy had come to see me maybe like the second day I was there. When they come in, they told me that my family had been informed of what was going on. They told me that they couldn't act as my lawyer, but they would get things together for my family, send my family list of lawyers that could help me out. They gave me a Bible. They said my family told me just stay strong, it'll be over soon, I'll be out. Asked me if I need anything, but it was not much they could do for me at that time. Maybe 2-3 days after the embassy come to see me, a lawyer comes, said my family and friends had found him. He had me sign some paperwork and tell him what happened. I told him everything, told him what I went through. He stayed, probably met with him for like 30 minutes, and I never saw him again. The first lawyer actually spoke English, but the second lawyer didn't. He came the first time, it was just to sign papers. We didn't talk about anything because he didn't have his translator with him.
When they got the news he was in jail, Wendell's family hired 2 lawyers in the early days. Neither of these lawyers were able to get Wendell out or even cared to. For the time being, Wendell would have to survive on his own.
Then he came back a few days later with his translator, and at that point, I was just happy to be able to speak to somebody. And I was telling him everything that happened. He was like, well, guy's hurt, you might have to pay him to get out. And initially I'm thinking, pay him for what? Nobody was hurt. Everybody walked away. I don't understand. Like, he had told me that he had been to the doctor with the guy and his lawyer. He seen the medical examination and the medical records and all that stuff. And he said that the guy lost the eye and all. I'm like, what? How? I just couldn't understand how this stuff happened. Like, there's no possible way this is happening. I'm thinking, how could anybody be hurt? Every morning, their national anthem. That's the cue for everyone to get up. So the music come on, everybody's up and running, like getting everything together, folding up their blankets, piling them all up together. Because I see everybody else folding theirs. So I fall in the line, fold my blanket up. People getting to brush their teeth and all that stuff. And then after a while, I hear a knock on the steel gate on the outside. No. As everybody start, they run and get lined up. Everyone gets their bowl. They get in line, and someone on the outside, has like some type of a bowl with a handle, and they're dumping rice soup in each person's bowl. So it's a small hole cut out of the wall. So they put their arm in that small hole and dump everyone's rice soup into their bowl, one by one. And then after the last person gets theirs, they shove a bunch of pieces of bread, like a bunch of rolls, into the hole, like it just falls on the floor. So I'm just watching. I don't want any of it. But as the rolls fall on the floor, people basically fighting over them, jumping down there, trying to hurry up and grab rolls and everything like that. Probably like around maybe like 8:30, We just hear the hot water start running. Hear splashing in the ground. So people that was sitting close to the front have to hurry up, run in there, move the hot water bucket to put under there, so we can get the hot water. They put it, it was like a hot water pipe, and it was a big bucket. And then once it's turned off, all right, we put a lid on top of the bucket. So everybody will use a cup to scoop some of the water out and put in their own personal cup. But it was hot water. You drinking that hot water. I remember once I tried to save some of the hot water. I'm like, I need some cold water. I tried to save it. It was like the wintertime. Got that water. I tried to save it. Like, I ain't had no cold water in a long time. But when I came back to it later on, I opened it and it just smelled like lead. It's like, I knew I couldn't drink it, and then it just made me think, like, I've been drinking this whole time. So it just to think about it, like, man, I've been brushing my teeth with the water. I've been drinking it. And I had to start putting that in my budget. Like, if I want water, I have to buy water. I had to buy bottled water if you wanted, or if you wanted to drink the poison. I remember writing home to my mom, like, there's water in here. So if I come home with like 6 arms, then you know why. Like, it's something in this water. It was lunch that was switched up every day. It was cabbage pretty much 90% of the time. Some days it would be white carrots, and a handful of times it was like pumpkin or potatoes or cucumbers. But other than that, it was cabbage and rice every day. Rice soup, rice, and like one day it'd be tofu, one day it'd be blood. That day when I saw that blood, it was some other stuff. I'm not sure what it was. It was like, it looked like it had maggots crawling in it. I'm like, I don't want it. It was definitely stuff crawling in it. Maggots crawling in the food. Like, I don't know what they had in it. Once they told me what it was, I'm like, I already knew I wasn't gonna eat. I'm like, but I don't know what that is. I passed on everything they had out except for the rice and the cabbage. Like, I wasn't eating nothing. I'm in there by myself. Ain't nobody talking to me. Like, I'm just seeing, like, people ordering food. Like, yo, I want to order some stuff too. How can I? So I had to talk to one of the officers. So I found out, like, I could buy stuff.
I'm going to jump in again and just say Chinese prisons operate like American prisons in this sense. Everyone has a bank account that someone on the outside must fund. They can use the money in their account to buy better food, cigarettes, books, and toilet paper, and much more. In the U.S., this system creates the opportunity to barter.
And what days I would buy like chicken foot if I had money. I would buy like some chicken foot, packs of chicken foot. I've never had chicken foot in my life until I was over there. I'm leg and thighs and breasts and wings. I've never had the chicken foot. It's like, when you get a wing, right? You get a wing, that tip is that, but it's like a foot. It's not much meat on there, but it did the job for me. It did it. But I would never eat a full pack of chicken foot just because I know I really didn't have much money. So I had to make sure I saved if I still wanted some type of meat, even though it was only a little bit of meat on that chicken foot. But when I had the money, I was saving my money as much as I possibly could. Like, I would buy tissue. I would buy toothpaste. I would buy soap. All these things I had to buy. So I didn't want to ask my family for money because I knew they were already going through so much trying to get me out and paying for lawyers and all that stuff. So I never asked for any money. As you bought stuff, as you bought things, you buy shirts, you buy underwear, you buy all that stuff. Through the prison, everything looks alike. So if everybody in the room buys underwear, all the underwear look exactly alike. So you have to make a mark or do something to, make a mark on it just to make sure people know it's yours and not theirs. But all my stuff looked different than everybody else's. Everything that I was getting, like my shirts, my underwear, all that stuff, it was being sent to me from like family and friends and everything. Every morning I got up, Okay, maybe I get a visit today. Maybe this will be the day, where I get the papers that say I'm being released. Hopefully something good happens today.
The conditions in the Chinese prison were bleak. Wendell managed to get through the first few weeks one day at a time. It's a testament to his personality and his faith. But Wendell's situation was about to get worse.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
After about a month, the police came in one day yelling at me. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know what it's about. And then the Chinese guys started grabbing my stuff. And that's when I went to another room. It was bad in that second room. It smells terrible in there. The walls are brown and dirty. And the sink was extremely dirty. I was wondering where people would shower at. It smells like feces. It was September, so the weather wasn't cold, and it wasn't extremely hot either. But the smell, the stench was overwhelming. And as I look around, I see why. It's like a hole in the floor that was used for the toilet. And there's feces around it. And I was right next to the toilet. And yeah, it was terrible. Just the filth. I didn't go to sleep that first night. I was there. I tried to rest my eyes for a minute, but really couldn't. I wanted to be able to see everything that was going on around me. I didn't know what to expect. Not knowing would I ever actually get out. Would I ever be free? Would I ever see my family, my friends, my son? Would I ever see freedom again? Some days it'd get down to like 15, 20 degrees, like freezing, like I'm sleeping. Like I was given a blanket. That's what I was laid on. Like I laid the blanket down. I had one blanket. I'm sleeping in a full coat and hat and a hoodie up underneath. Like I'm fully clothed. Like with everything. I got everything going to go to sleep. It was pretty quiet during the nights. So the guards, the police officers walking around looking, they always did like a check every 15, 30 minutes, something like that. Just someone walk around looking at each room. So, and there was rules like, people can't share covers and stay on your own pallet and all that. All I was thinking about is the fact that I could see everybody in front of me. And that's why I said the spot was ideal, because even though I was next to the worst part of the room, if anything happened, they would have to come towards me. They couldn't attack me from behind. Like I could see everything that was going on in front of me. I had to be smart, because they were already trying to paint me as a guy who was running around there and just hurting people and doing all type of crazy stuff. It was just the hostility in that second room. It was bad. It was bad in that second room. The people hated me. Nobody liked me in that room. Because I was black first, and then, I'm around mean and evil-spirited people, it was one guy in there who he didn't like me at all. Like, I don't know exactly, but he like, I began to hear him saying, like, and my name's Wen Long. Everybody's talking about Wen Long, like, and it's so I start to listen more and more. You know, I'm hearing my name. I'm starting to listen more and more. What's being said, understanding some of the stuff that's being said. You know, and I heard people was talking about they was gonna throw hot water on me while I was meditating. So I just tried to make sure I was always conscious of, you know, what I was doing, what I was saying, the energy I was putting off, the energy I was allowing people to put off towards me that I was able to receive. And even with just the thoughts of, if something happens, I knew no one was going to be on my side. Not an officer, not an inmate, nobody. It was me by myself the entire time. If I got into an argument with anybody, or if I got to a fight with anybody, it was going to be me against everybody who was there. And my first time in prison, like, I didn't know what was going on. Like, I just knew I just had to keep myself safe. I just had to watch what was going on around me. It was unreal. I was hoping that it would end soon.
Wendell did anything he could to maintain his sanity. He leaned into meditation, drawing, and a strong Christian faith. Back in the U.S., Antoinette and Team Wendell are doing everything we can to get him home. And he shielded us from the worst of it. He didn't want Antoinette or anyone else to worry about him.
I was having very vivid dreams. And I would always I kept a piece of paper and a pen next to me while I slept, because I wanted to be able to remember them. And I would write down small notes to myself in the middle of the night. If I got up, I see something, okay, I'm driving a red sports car. I didn't go horse with wings. Just small things. I'm walking through a forest. Like, small things to help me, like, just keynotes to help me remember what that dream was and what will happen over there. Just things that help me recollect. And I would meditate on those things, ask for understanding of them and what they meant. And then I would write them all down. I was meditating one day, and when I opened my eyes, he gave that to me.
One of the Chinese men in the room gave Wendell a drawing, a sketch he had made of Wendell as Wendell meditated. Wendell sent the drawing home to his mom, Antoinette.
I sent it home because my family hadn't seen me. Like, they hadn't seen me at all. And so when I saw that, I'm like, yo, I have to send this home.
While Wendell struggled to survive in prison, back in America, we were trying to figure out a way to get him home. So far, the lawyers and the U.S. Embassy hadn't been able to help too much. When I met up with Team Wendell, he had been detained for over a year and a half. Something had to be done. We needed someone from Team Wendell on the ground in China around Chongqing, someone who could get a sense of what was really happening, and I was willing to go. After I met Antoinette and the rest of Wendell's family in Washington, D.C., in the spring of 2018, I started putting together a plan to go to China. But that would be a lot harder than it sounds. In the next episode of Game Plan, we're back in the U.S. with Team Wendell, as we all attempt to build on the momentum we felt on that trip to D.C. It was time to bring home Wendell Brown. Game Plan is hosted by Matt Liston, executive producer Anjay Nagpal and Matt Liston, story editor and senior producer Danielle Elliott, producer Nicole Cohn, editing, sound design, music by Gerard Bauer and Sam Bauer, associate producer Kinsey Clark, show art by Sarah Eichenberger, marketing by Brandon Getches, Production Legal by Bruns, Brennan, and Barry. Legal clearance fair use by Rachel Strom and Davis Wright Tremaine. Special thanks to Ball State University, Scott Cronick, Jason Whitlock, and the City of Detroit. From Entropy Media, executive producers Anjay Nagpal, Gerard Bauer, and Josh Fuelestead. Head of operations is Nunya Ebo. Associate producer, Heidi Rudvoets. Development and production support, Simona Kessler. Please consider making a donation to Brown Elite Youth Elevation Foundation. In memoriam, Irma Brown, Raymond Brown, and Annie Murrell.
Hey, it is Ryan Seacrest. There's something so thrilling about playing Chumba Casino. Maybe it's the simple reminder that with a little luck, anything is possible. ChumbaCasino.com has hundreds of social casino-style games to choose from with new game releases each week. Play for free anytime, anywhere for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.